Welcome to Tips Over Tea. This is season 2. I am so thrilled to have the opportunity to have great conversations with some amazing people. And I have the opportunity to hang out with you guys again, my guests. Make sure you have your tea, whether it be hot or cold, for the Tips Over Tea. And make sure you have your notebook so you can take plenty of notes. And if you're so inclined, bring a friend or two to join you. For now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tips Over Tea. I am so thrilled to just hang out with you, just me and you again today. We are doing part 2 of the Self-Care Wisdom Cards by Cheryl Richardson. And let's see what we get through within our 30 minutes, shall we? All right, I'm going to just shuffle them. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what we had gone over last week as well. And of course, what you get from this week's. So let's start with the first one. Change. For those of you who didn't catch last week, where this is coming from. So in the mornings, I do a meditation, 5 a.m., and something led me to read a card right before we go into meditation. And they were like, as I was reading them for the first time, I was like, these may be something good to bring onto the Tips Over Tea, since it is self-care wisdom. And the intent of the show is to share different tips that help you, elevate and just have your best health. It's like, let's share these here. So that's where this is coming from. So change, a resistance to change is a resistance to life itself. Open your heart and mind to new beginnings. A resistance to change is a resistance to life itself. Open your heart and mind to new beginnings. That's so interesting that came today. I've been personally embarking upon some new things, and I will say I haven't been resisting them though, because I've been very open to the things coming about, and you'll see as things start to play out what I'm talking about. But what else comes to mind is the one thing that is constant in life is change. Even if it doesn't feel like things have changed, things are changing. Heck, your cells change. The chemicals in your body change all the time. So resisting that just makes things feel more difficult, feel more convoluted and challenging for no reason. I can't say for no reason, but it's just, it feels like that's, and I'm not gonna lie, I have, I'm human. I have my challenges with resistance, but what I'm adding weight onto the already challenging situation. So change in and of itself can be challenging, uncomfortable, and then resisting it is just like adding extra weight to it. It may make you stronger, I don't know, but yeah, that's just what's coming to mind for me as I read that card. All right, definitely share your thoughts on that. A tip with resistance, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, just when you feel yourself resisting. Actually, the other day, I felt myself in resistance, and I found a really good meditation on Insight Timer that just reminded me of what was important. So, my tip regarding resistance is, if you recognize that that's what's happening, just take a step back and breathe. I'm going to recommend that for most things anyway, but just take a pause and just breathe and remind yourself that uncomfortable is, you're growing in it. Or if you choose to, of course. You just don't know what gifts are coming from this experience. So that's the tip that I have for resistance. The second card is entitled Listen. People start to heal the moment they feel heard. People start to heal the moment they feel heard. I can attest to that just in my interactions with clients that I work with. Um, it's and just people that I interact with in on not necessarily on a regular basis, just even people that I've never met. And it's just with the fact that we are so digital, there's just something because and we text more than talk these days, at least what I've noticed. There's just something about actually being heard, your voice being heard, that can be very therapeutic and very healing. Um, and not by, I don't mean hearing as like I hear you talking, but hearing as in I feel, I feel your pain, I feel your sadness, I feel your elation, I feel whatever it is that the other person is conveying. It's like it's not just hearing, it's receiving. Uh, and even if it's something that's exciting for them, it can still be healing. I need to sneeze. I don't know if it's gonna come. Okay. I think it went away. Um, because and I like one of the affirmations I wrote, be proud of being proud of yourself, because it seems like growing up, at least my generation, bragging or being proud is like not a good thing. And so when people have a hard time sharing things that they're excited about or that they're proud of, it's just when they get the courage to do it, then like honor that. Um, that can be healing, especially if they've been silenced for much of their life. I had a conversation with someone last night about because she's a big personality and she, you know, when children are a lot, it's you kind of want to, you're like, can you just sit down, be quiet, shh. And it you just never know how that child is going to receive it, and it could potentially just silence them for a long time. So yeah, I think I might have gone off on a tangent, but you just never know when someone actually starts to have the courage to voice or share an experience, like where they came from in all of that. Like this could be a new thing for them. I don't know. There's a lot that comes to mind with that one, but the biggest tip I would say is to not just listen with your ears, but to listen with your heart as well. Even if you can't relate to what they are talking about, being just interested in that person themselves can be very healing for both of you, actually. So that's what I get from that. Um, the next one is risk. Take a chance. Every risk is a success when you're committed to learning and growth. So, for those of you who fear failure and don't want to take risks because of it, uh, this card is reminding you that as long as you've learned something in the process, in the experience, then you haven't wasted anything. You've actually gained. So there's always something to gain. That's what I'm getting from that card. And I'm not gonna lie, I've in the past, like failure is has been a stopper for me. I've had to work through a lot of that. I've done a lot of clearing around it. So the fear of failure, because there's there's nothing that says that like you don't even give yourself a chance to fail because you don't even start. So and anyway, fail. I made an acronym for failure. It's like figuring it out. I gotta find it. When I find it, I'll put it in the description. Because unfortunately, we have learned that failing is a bad thing and it's to be avoided at all costs. So, one of the things I'm learning to embrace myself and want to encourage you to embrace is um, embracing the learning and growing that comes through things not working out as intended or planned or hoped. There's nothing that says that when things don't work out, that you yourself are a failure, right? that idea may not have been, you know, a good idea. I can't say not a good idea. It just what I get from that is just like you just never know, and you won't know until you try. So, just go all in and take away whatever lessons you get and use it the next time. So you got to start somewhere. Everyone that you see that's been that you envision as success, they also started somewhere, and the difference is they have allowed themselves to fail over and over again. So yeah, that's what I get from that. I'm gonna take a sip. I hope you brought your tea and your notebook. Um, and do share what you get from that as well. Whatever tips you have for anyone who has a hard time getting past failure, or failing, or the fear of failing. I mean, knowing your risk tolerance is also good, but also just recognizing, is your risk tolerance based on fear, or just it, that introspective work is important. What is this based on? Is it based on past experience? Is it like, just think about all of that when when you are evaluating or reassessing where you are, where you're wanting to go, and all that. So that's what comes to mind. The next card is entitled Kindness. Kindness. What if being kind to yourself really could change everything? What if being kind to yourself really could change everything? I like the fact that that follows the risk card, because so many times, I think, now that I'm thinking about this, if you're the type that is really hard on yourself or beat yourself up for failing, then of course you're going to want to avoid that, because who wants to be picked on or judged, or being treated like that for trying something. And I feel like we are the biggest culprits of, because the stuff that goes on in our mind. We're the biggest culprits of that abuse. I don't know if that's. I have not done any statistical research, but and I know that those thoughts and ideas are also, from all of the things that we've learned earlier on in life. Anyway, what if being kind to yourself really could change everything? It really does. It's something that I had to cultivate, just because I grew up a very mean person to myself, and I know the contrast of how I show up, like in a situation, depending on how I respond to myself, will inform how I show up in the next moment. So kindness is like, it it fills the heart, and with an open heart, you're able to give yourself some empathy and some grace, and same with other people. But right now, this is about you. How are you treating yourself? I just shared a poem the other night that I wrote, entitled Happiness is an Inside Job. And one of the lines in that is, what are you saying to yourself? Because it's in your power to choose. So I will get that published. Uh, I've shared it with a couple people, and it gotten some good feedback on it. So yeah, I'll let you know when that's out. But anyway, being kind. Being kind is not letting yourself off the hook. It's it allows your mind to open up beyond where you were, right? So if you did something, you're like, why did I do that? You don't beat yourself up. The kindness piece allows you to remain open to other possibilities, other ways of doing things. It keeps your mind open and creative, your heart open and creative. So kindness doesn't there's a difference between being kind and what's another word? When you let yourself off the hook, what is it? I don't know. I don't know at the moment. It is not coming to me. There are words in there. If something comes to me later, I'll put it in the description. Okay. Just try a little kindness. Do a kindness challenge for yourself. If you're typically hard on yourself, or if you typically internally beat yourself up, I want to challenge you to, as soon as you recognize it, uh, shift. Either shift the dialogue altogether or just stop it right there. Because you're just to retrain your brain to recreate new neural pathways in your mind, to create a new habit neurologically and all of that, and chemically in your body. Another conversation. So let's go to the next card. It's entitled Priorities. The quality of your life is determined by how you spend your time. Make sure your schedule reflects the life you want. The quality of your life is determined by how you spend your time. Make sure your schedule reflects the life you want. This is what came to mind is the word people pleaser for that. Being kind and doing things for other people, nothing wrong with that. Just always remember that when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So if you're saying yes to everyone, then you're saying no to you. At some point, you need to say yes to you. So just think about that, especially as someone who likes to see people happy and please everyone. Also understand where that pleasing requirement or whatever is coming from. Is it coming from the heart? Is it coming, and if it is it fear of rejection, so is it coming from fear or love? So that's something also to take a think about that. Like, where is this coming from? How am I feeling? How am I really feeling? What do I really want? And of course, not of course, but in human design, if you have an emotional authority, emotionals tend to answer before they have emotional clarity. And then sometimes they'll come back and be like, why did I say that? Why did I say no? Why did I say yes? And so if you don't know your design or what your authority is in human design, you can reach out, we can have a conversation. But if you have an emotional authority, especially, wait for emotional clarity before you make a decision. So there's that. I did do a tips over tea on human design, but we didn't really talk a whole lot about that. So I may have to have another conversation with someone, but we will actually. I will have because I know several people who use human design as well in their business. That's their primary business, and so there's different perspectives and ways of using the information in the chart. So we'll have that conversation another time. So the next card. Well, actually, so outside of people pleasing, also just for yourself, are you making time? So we don't always try. I really am working on not using those absolute words so much. Sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in work and then you're too exhausted to do anything. But the exhaustion it could more likely just be the fact that you're not filling your cup with things that you want to do. So I want to encourage you or challenge you to, if you're not already doing it, discover a hobby. If you already know your hobby, make sure you make the time. You're not going to find the time. You're not going to find the time, especially if it's not already incorporated into your self-care routine. Make the time to add that hobby to your life some way. And just notice how much more stamina you have throughout the week. Just something to think about. Okay. Next card, peace. Peace, peace, peace. Just because some people are fueled by drama doesn't mean you have to attend the performance. Make your life a drama-free zone. Just because some people are fueled by drama doesn't mean you have to attend the performance. Make your life a drama-free zone. I like it. I know that I've had people wanting to share things with me, and I'm like, if it's gossip, I don't want to hear it. If you're bringing a problem to me so that we can find a solution, great. But if you're just telling me about someone, it's hearsay, and I don't play that game. So I'm not in the loop on a lot of things because I don't play that game. Um, it's just I don't know if we did the energy card yet, but yeah, we did. I think last week we talked about energy, right? Um, one of the ways to conserve energy is to not be engaged in gossipy type of conversations because they're usually not positive conversations. It's usually complaining about something or telling about someone's challenge situation that they're going through or whatever, and those are like micro traumas into your own system. And especially if you have, depending on how many open centers you have in your chart, um, you could be absorbing that stuff. And if you are not accustomed to energetically clearing yourself or energetically detoxing, then you're absorbing all that stuff and it's building energetic toxins in your system, which can show up as physical symptoms like catching a cold, getting a headache, physical body aches, and things like that. So the drama free is that's definitely something uh, I definitely like try to live. Sometimes sometimes people will start to share something and you don't realize it's about to be some drama situation that was just, and so you can get blindsided, but understanding how to pause the conversation and ask, is this, are you needing to just vent or are you needing to, like, just understanding where you're going with it, the conversation you can at least shield yourself so that you can be, if you're that type of person, like not everybody has the capacity to sit and listen to people's troubles and trials and stuff like that. I've been blessed with that capacity. It doesn't affect me, to that degree. But one, know who you're talking to, but also, I don't know how many times I'm going to say the word, but understand you can pause the conversation, say, hold up, where is this going? Are you wanting me to, for me personally, because I'm a coach, am I listening with my coach's hat or a friend's hat? Where is this going? Do you need help? Just understanding where the conversation goes to can help prevent a whole lot of drama entering into your life. Yeah, that's what I get from that. I think we have time for one more card. Friend. This follows this card well. Be as good a friend to yourself as you are to others. I actually wrote a whole chapter on that. How to become your best friend in a joint collaborative book that's what earned me number one best-selling author, me and all the other authors in that book. But anyway, be as good a friend to yourself as you are to others. That kind of goes back to when I was talking about how the conversation you have in your head, how you're treating yourself. Because if you think about it, if some of the conversations that people have in their head, the mean, very like, just the word is on the tip of my tongue. I don't know why words are not coming to me today, but they're not. You get what I'm saying. If you're really just not a nice person to yourself, if you had friends who treated you the way you treat yourself, if you're that type of person, if you're not nice to yourself, if you have friends treat you the way you treat you, you would not still be friends with them. So the challenge is you're stuck with yourself and you keep beating yourself up. So I'm speaking from experience. Like it took over 20 years for me to like recognize this that, oh, that's me. I can't get away from me. I should probably change that. So if you're hard on yourself, if you downplay things, I'm not gonna lie, still working on the downplaying thing. But just minimize if you shrink yourself in the presence of people or whatever. Lift yourself back up like you would do a friend. If you saw a friend shrinking, what would you say to them? Say that to yourself. Just things like that. If you ever feel like you did something and you recognize that you're starting to feel some type of way about it and you're starting to go in on yourself, if you have the ability to just pause and say, okay, if such and such was going through this, what would I say to them? And then say that to yourself. That is the tip that I have about being as good a friend to yourself as you are to others. I actually read that chapter as part of our when we launched the book. We each read our chapter on, and so it's published. I think I have it on my channel. I could put the link down here. How to become your best friend. So yeah, that's what I get from that. Do we have time? We have time for one more. Beauty. Today, you are a curator of beauty. You are blessed with moments that let you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that all is well in the world. I seem to remember being at a loss for words with this one when I was doing the meditation one. Because I've been on the other side, I can hear like all of those like all is right with the world, especially if you watch the news, and that's a whole other conversation. I might have to bring this one back up next week because I need to, or write. I think I'm gonna have to write on this one. So I'll publish something on Medium regarding this one. But I will highlight that it says you're blessed with moments that let you know that all is well in the world. And so what comes to mind just in reading that piece, the moments is a key word there. You've experienced, and sometimes you've probably seen on some social media with people who are trying their best to show positive things. When you just see an act of human kindness, like those moments right there, like, okay, we're not going we're not going the wrong direction. There are still decent, beautiful human beings, and I can be one of them too, or I am one of them too. It's easy to forget when you are one and you see all of the things that are like, what is wrong with this place? Uh, yeah, that's what comes to mind for that. So if you have a moment of doubt and thinking this world is just like going to hell in the handbasket, as some people would say, I would suggest one, maybe going out and doing something kind for someone, or intentionally looking for articles or videos where people are being kind. And look for ones that are like current, because yeah, it's a good reminder that all is well. Not everything, but on the grand scheme of things, there is still some hope that things can, you know, change beyond some of the things that we are witnessing. I don't watch the news for that reason. So, anyway, that's what comes to mind. This has been almost 30 minutes of me talking through cards, and we still have plenty more to talk about on another episode. But I want to thank you for hanging out with me. Please feel free to leave comments, thoughts, shares. If you've written articles about any of these things, do share your tips. I don't know everything. So your experience matters and can be exactly what someone else needed to hear or read, rather. And so don't hesitate to post in the comments. So all that said, I hope you enjoyed the ones that we went through, got something from it. And yeah, we'll be back again next week, provided all technology is acting right. Yes, we did have a little snafu today. But yeah, all that said, enjoy the rest of your day and also make a wonderfully incredible week. And I'll see you next time. Ciao for now. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Hope you enjoyed the show and got a lot of good information. Be sure to like, subscribe, tap the bell so you know when we air again. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Enjoy the rest of your week.